My topic is about conflict management. Please allow me to take 10 minutes of your time. Thank you. Let me define first the meaning of conflict. In general terms, conflict is to come into collision or disagreement, be in opposition, fight, or battle. The clash of interests or principles, values, beliefs, attitudes, and views. Remember, one cannot escape from conflict because it is natural and inevitable. We cannot prevent or avoid conflict. Conflict simply means incompatibility of needs, desires, goals, values, interests, principles, and attitudes. Characteristics of conflict. Conflict is natural and inevitable. It involves at least two or more parties, and the outcomes of conflict can be positive or negative. When conflict is handled skillfully, it produces positive outcomes like motivation, increased productivity, and healthy competition. But when conflict is not handled skillfully, it produces negative outcomes like road rage. Example is the strikes, community fights, and domestic violence. Here are the levels of conflict. We have conflict in the organization, group, or even individual. The types of conflict in each levels are inter and intra. Inter means between two or more organizations, groups, or individual, while intra means within the organization, group, or individuals. Here are the examples of types of conflict in inter and intra. Remember, inter means between the organization, groups, or individuals, while intra means within the organizations, groups, or individuals. Sources of conflict: individual and cultural differences, scarcity of resources, differences in information, differences in values, principles, and others, unclear roles or role ambiguity, lack of job descriptions, competitions and personal ambitions, crab syndrome, status, power, and authority, role pressure, aggressive behavior, low self-esteem, and expectations. What are the effects of conflict? It is absenteeism, non-productivity, stress, and staff turnover. Let's proceed to conflict management styles. It is a behavior that an individual or leader in conflict adopts to address dissonance or the lack of agreement with others in the organization or in a group. There are ways of resolving conflict. Number one is the lose-lose approach, when both parties are unhappy because the solutions are not beneficial to them. The next one is the win-lose approach. Example, there is a surprise exam for the two honor pupils. The bright students will pass and the other is fail. The third one is the win-win approach. In win-win approach, both parties feel satisfied and happy. And the last one is the lose-win approach. It is the vice versa of the third example. According to Thomas Kilmann conflict mode instrument, there are two types of persons involved. One person is assertive or aggressive, while the other is cooperative. As you can see, the two arrows go in different directions, but in the certain point, they met halfway. The 5 types of conflict management styles. Number 1 is competing. Number 2, collaborating. 3 is the compromising. 4 is avoiding. And number 5 is accommodating. The first one is competing. It says that might makes right. These are the people who approach conflict in a competitive way, assert themselves, and do not cooperate while pursuing their own concerns at another's expense. It is a win-lose approach. The next one is collaborating. It says that 2 heads are better than 1. Here, the collaborators are both assertive or aggressive and cooperative. Assert own views while also listening to other views and welcoming differences. It is also create room for multiple ideas. In this one, win-win approach. The third one is compromising. It says that split the difference. Here, the compromiser are moderately assertive and moderately cooperative. Try to find fast, mutually acceptable solutions to conflict that partially satisfy both parties. In this one, lose-lose approach is applicable. The fourth one is avoiding. It says that live well enough alone. Here, the people who avoid conflict are generally unassertive and uncooperative. They delay their responses instead of finding solutions to the conflict. It does not address the conflict. So this is lose-lose approach. The last one is accommodating. It says that kill your enemies with kindness. Here, people who accommodate are unassertive but very cooperative. Put relationship first, ignore issues, and try to keep peace at any price. Effective if the other person or party has a better plan or solution. In this part, it is win-win approach. Helpful strategies in resolving conflict. Number 1, acknowledge that there is a problem. As a manager, clarify and clearly state the concerns, needs, and interests of the people involved in the dispute. Number 2, emphasize the ground rules. In this part, adopt a positive tone and a problem-solving attitudes. Set ground rules that help maintain the courteous and respectful attitudes towards others. Examples of ground rules: no interrupting others while talking. Respect each person's opinions. Address the issue, not the person. And each person is encouraged to contribute. Number 3, look for areas of agreement. In this part, you should start by helping members to find common ground. Identify areas of agreement before addressing the differences. Number 4, affirm the value of different opinions. In this part, discuss the fact that different opinions are natural in the group. Help them separate opinions to the persons holding the opinion. Remember, do not allow personal attacks. Number 5, listen to everyone's point of view. People will be more willing to discuss alternatives if you acknowledge and legitimize their rights to hold particular point of views, even if you don't agree to them. Number 6, define the conflict early. Make sure you understand the issue causing the conflict and that you are focusing on the right problem. Many conflicts can be resolved by improving communication and explaining issues carefully. Number 7, create solutions. As a moderator, you should identify a range of options for solving the problems. Invite others in the group to help resolve the conflict. List the advantages and the disadvantages of each options. And number 8, choose a solution. Choose the best solution and follow up to make sure that it is carried out. I hope that this list has been helpful to manage conflict among members. To sum it up, conflict is a natural and healthy part of human personal and professional relationships. It is also become unhealthy when it is handled in an unproductive manner. For our food for thought for today, it says that peace is not the absence of conflict, but the ability to cope with it. It means that peace is the ability to handle conflict with kindness, grace, and skills. Working through conflict doesn't come easy. It requires us to simply do the work. Achieving peace and appreciating diversity or differences demands that we build the necessary skills to listen, understand, and compromise. So, peace on earth. Thank you all for listening.